Hello, precious humans. How are you? I am Jamie Dawn, your evolutionary, revolutionary astrologer, bringing you your celestial wisdom for the week of June 13th through the 20th of 2021. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. And I know that Father's Day is going to be the bookend for this week, but I wanted just to go ahead and offer that to you. And also to just say thank you. Thank you for liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting regarding these videos. And of course, find me at jamiedawn.com. I always love to connect with you. Right now, just as another heads up for those of you who have been inquiring about sessions, there is a bit of a wait. And I just want to offer that to you as well. So do reach out. You can also reach out to Joan, my assistant, and she will be able to assist you as well. And it's Joan at jamiedawn.com. All right, let's talk about what is happening for this week. We have that Saturn-Uranus square. It is now going to be exact on the 14th. We have been in the energy of Saturn-Uranus all year long so far, and we will continue throughout the year. There's another exact aspect of the square happening in November. So of course, we'll talk about it as it keeps coming up. But what we are experiencing is that Saturn is our planet of authority, our wise counselor, our taskmaster, that tester, or the Lord Karma. Interesting that we have that exactitude coming up just before Father's Day as well, because we often think of Saturn as that wise father, or could be not so wise. It could feel very oppressive. Depends on whether we're working with the light or shadow of it. Saturn takes us to task. It challenges us so that we can build the necessary skills and muscles to get to that next level. That's why Saturn represents Capricorn and Aquarius, is that we're working towards something. And, you know, I know that you guys complain with me, because I fully admit I complain now and again where it's like, I'm exhausted. Why do I have to work so hard? I just can't do it. Can't things just be a little bit easier? However, that's not how we build our skills. That's not how we actually increase our weight. And I don't just mean physically, I mean spiritually, mentally, emotionally, because we're here to evolve. We're here to learn. And we can't learn if we're not tested. We want to see, it's not a pass or fail. It's a matter of where are we at? Where's our edge? And we get pushed a little bit further without falling over. You know, I like to consider Saturn like our personal trainer, right? Or that drill sergeant that will push us and say, come on, 5 more, 2 more, 1 more, let's add another 10 pounds to this. You've got this, right? So even though the testing can feel hard, we're not left on our own, and we're not necessarily pushed to the point where we injure ourselves, or that we really, you know, just like I say, fall off the cliff, or quit, hopefully, before we ever get started. And I think that's the thing, is that it's not that Saturn is trying to force us to do anything. I loved what my yoga instructor had said at one point. You know, her classes are so good, but difficult at times. And she said somebody walked out of the class and was like, wow, you really kicked my ass. And she said, I didn't make you do anything. You kicked your own ass. I just offered what you could do. And if we think about it that way, we can come into a tantric relationship with Saturn, that when Saturn brings us a test or brings us a challenge, that we can say, okay, how do I want to make this challenge harder on myself? Or do I want to work with it and see what I can do with it, and be able to also say, it's a little too much for me. I need to take a minute, back off, and go a little bit slower. Maybe I can't climb that mountain as fast as another, right? If we fight Saturn, or we embody the shadow of it, then we may experience that tyrant, or we become that tyrant, or Grim Reaper, or the oppressor, right? So we're working with paying attention to, when these challenges show up, what's the meaning and interpretation that we give it. Now, Uranus, we're going to talk about the square, but let me just touch on Uranus for a second. Great awakener, that we're being challenged, right? And here comes Uranus, which says, hey, I want to have this experience. I'm being forced to have this challenge, or I'm being forced to have this experience. And Uranus says, here's a burst of energy. Here's a aha of awareness. Here's that sudden wisdom that you just didn't know about, that was always inside of you, but without this pressure, without this challenge, it may not have popped up. And so Uranus is that self-sufficient hero inside of all of us that knows how to access that wisdom. And it appears like it's out of the blue only because we weren't aware of it, and then discovers the innovation and the courage to try it out. And what often happens once we try something out, let's just say Saturn brings us a challenge and we go, okay, I could approach it the same way as I always do. Or boom, here comes Uranus giving us, maybe there's another way. Maybe I'll try it this way. And then we do, and we're inspired to try this. And we also can find support from others of like mind because they're seeing, hey, I see how this person is. I think of a rope course and this story about somebody who was going through a ropes course, and they, instead of going down the rope itself backwards, they ended up going face first, and they were able to shave off a couple of seconds of time, save some energy, that sort of thing. And they could see where they were going. Well, guess what? Everybody else who was doing the course suddenly tried it his way and found that they also were shaving off seconds and all of that. So that's just a mild example, but if you think about it, that's how these two planets can actually work together, because Uranus is trying to break free. It's trying to rebel against tradition, whereas Saturn is trying to anchor tradition and say, this is how we've always done it. Therefore, this is how we need to do it in order to achieve things. And so when they work together, that's where we get the innovation. It doesn't mean that the foundation is gone. It just means that we have a new structure that gets built in a different way. We see this all the time, mirrored throughout walking around our cities, and where an old building gets leveled and then rebuilt on that same foundation, but the building is modern and it's got new fandangled technology and all of that. That's a great Saturn-Uranus combination. Now, when these planets are squaring off with each other, it is as if they're in a boxing match, right? You're squaring off with your opponent, if you will. And what's happening is we're trying to see who has more skills or who has more stamina, more tricks to best the opponent. And so you've got Saturn and Uranus sitting at a table, and they're basically debating, and they're going at it with, this is how we've done it. And Uranus says, but we could try it this way. And Saturn says, no, we can't. You will not pass this way. You shall not pass. I think of that. You shall not pass. But Uranus says, watch me. And then what ends up happening is that they spar with each other. And regardless of who wins, if you will, they're both stronger. They're both wiser. They're a little bothered. They're a little bruised. But guess what? They're forever transformed and changed. And that's what we're working with. Look at what's happening in our collective. Look at what's happening in our individual lives. None of us will ever be the same after these last 2 years. And this past 6 months, we are doing that squaring off, or that battle. We'll use COVID still as an example because that's what we're working with. But there's also what's happening in the US between, let's say, our law enforcement and society, right? There's a squaring off happening. There's things that need to be changed, and they can't be changed without some conflict, because we don't change usually the things that are working, right? Something isn't working. So if we can take these challenges that show up for us and say, okay, this is an opportunity to see what has changed or what needs to be changed. Now, that's Saturn going, here's an old thing, needs to change. Uranus says, hey, here's this sudden challenge, here's this idea that you can take what is showing up, this challenge, and do it differently. And I know all of you watching this at some point have asked yourself, I can't keep doing the same thing I've always done. How can I do it differently? Now we take on this beautiful Gemini energy, because we're still in it till the 20th. We take on this Gemini energy, and then we're able to say, now I can play with it. Let's make a game out of it. And those of you who like board games, right? I think of like Shoots and Ladders, or Life, or some of those old ones, right? but card games, whatever it is, you have a challenger. You have to think about it. You may get blocked. You may have to start over again. You may have to return to go. Do not collect $200, right? Whatever it might be. It's not about winning or losing. It's about playing the game and learning how to do it differently. You know, this is about integrating our experiences so that we can take that next level, that next moment of our lives, and we can say, you know what, I kind of screwed it up last time. I don't want to do that this time. Or I did it pretty good last time, but how can I improve upon it? And that's where this square is going to benefit us, and it will continue to shape us throughout this year. Now, the other thing that I love about this square is it's going to say, here's progress and here's stagnation. None of us want to stay stuck. I mean, very few of us, let's put it that way. Shouldn't say none, but most of the people I talk to do not want to stay stuck. And so this is an opportunity for us to get moving again. So if you feel as though there's a particular area in your life that has been stuck, this is a time to do it. Let's not forget, Mercury has been retrograde and will continue until the 22nd. So we're still bringing some themes, people, situations back into our lives to be revisited so that we can do exactly what I was pointing to. Hey, I've been there, done that. Don't know that I want to do that again. How do I do it differently? Uranus can bless us with a sudden insight, but it may require us to take a different approach to it. That's the innovation, right? How can we look at something? How can we view or interpret something different than we did before, right? If our first approach is negativity, can we take a step back and say, let me just give this a benefit of the doubt? Let me put some positivity to it. The moon is in Leo on the same day, on the 14th, as this square, and it's making this trine to Chiron. That means that there could be some wounding in us that comes up and out. Wounding that maybe we're not good enough. Maybe we really can't do this. Maybe we were told that we shouldn't pay attention to our own inner wisdom. Or you shouldn't stand out. Don't make yourself bigger than you are, right? Here's the shift that can happen with this moon trine Chiron, is that we can realize, hey, I deserve to sit at this table. I deserve to be here. And here's the reasons why. The accomplishments, that's Saturn Uranus, the accomplishments that I have so far is this. That's why I deserve to be here. And I just want to remind everybody, in case you need to hear it again, you have value because you have breath. Regardless of what you're going through, regardless of your belief system, if we sit on opposite sides of the table, even, you have value, I have value, because we're giving each other different perspectives. And you're holding a post that I can't hold. So just sit with that for a minute. But this is an opportunity this week in particular, especially coming off of the eclipse that we just had, this new moon, where I would imagine some information got revealed, truth was communicated, intentions were set. And if for some reason nothing happened for you, stay tuned, because we feel eclipses often 2 to 4 weeks after. And so what I will say is that we're still integrating some of this. Now, we're looking this week for little signs of life from these seeds of intention that we planted, like little shoots coming up through the ground. I would sense that as we continue to work through the challenge, the square of that Saturn Uranus, and that we go, how can I view this differently? What can I do that might be slightly different than I've done before? That's where we start to see some of that manifestation. It's like, maybe I'll make that phone call. Maybe I'll send that email. Maybe I'll do something, say something that just changes things. Remember, this is a laboratory. Go mix the ingredients and see what happens. If it blows up, you clean it up. But guess what? It might just work. And then you strengthen it by continuing to do it, right? This is where new habits start to really get into shape. It's one thing to set an intention or to create a new habit. It's another thing to stick with it. And any of you who are getting back into a health regimen, it's always the first week that's the hardest, because you're like, oh, I'm tired, I'm getting up, I'm going, or there's reasons to find excuses. No more excuses. We've worked through that. That was 2020, the year of no more excuses, right? Now we're starting these new habits that take time, but you get that first week under your belt, now suddenly you're in a rhythm. So that's what I would offer. And also, this week in particular may be that testing and trial phase. So test things out. That's what I was saying. Add the ingredients and just see what happens. Make a game of it. What's the worst that could happen? You learn from it. To learn is to live. Mercury, as I mentioned, retrograding back into degrees of Gemini. This week, it's going to retrograde back into the 17th, 16th degree where it was at the end of May when it stationed and went retrograde. So if you think back, and that was right after the full moon eclipse in Sagittarius. So think back to some of the themes that were showing up just 2 weeks ago, because they may be coming up again. And this time, we get to innovate the way in which we approach it. And I would also offer that now, think about this. We are not the same that we were yesterday. I've said this before. I want to bring it back to light here. This week gives us a chance, if we're willing to step back and reevaluate and redo and re-up and all these wonderful things that Mercury retrograde is offering to us, to revisit some of these things and then do it differently. Trust. This is the gift of the Saturn Uranus. Trust. You have the foundation. That's Saturn. You pass the test. There's more tests that are coming. Saturn always leaves a reward. Saturn always says, good job. You made it. Now go eat a great meal. Go, take a break, rest, go to the beach, take vacation, whatever. There's a gift. There's a gift. Here's this new love. Now, speaking of love, I do want to talk about relationship because that is a conversation that most of us are very familiar with and also wanting. So let me talk to you singles out there for a second. This week will most likely have some more testing around getting clear. What do you want in relationship? And you may get a little taster of somebody new coming in that gives you a chance to test out that theory, test out those values, test out what you want. Okay. Venus is still in Cancer. So the empathy, the emotional attachment can be there. So really the empathy and emotional attachment, if you will, needs to feel first inside of you. Get really secure. What do I want? What do I need? And let me just say this too. Those of you who are dating, have fun with it. Try not to get so far into the future of like, oh, is this the one? It's the one right in front of you. Get to know them because you're still getting to know yourself. You will never fully know another human being because you're never really going to fully know yourself until you're back into a spirit form. So enjoy the process. What you're doing is you're just playing a game, right? Play the game. Now, bonded. Those of you who are in a bonded relationship, use this week to revisit certain issues between the two of you that you want to strengthen, that you want to get more clarity on. Even though Mercury's retrograde, this is a good time to follow up with the conversation that may have started 2 weeks ago and you had to table it. It was like, nope, we can't talk about it right now because I'm not in the right headspace or we don't have the resources. Now it's going to come back to go, okay, let's reconsider it and let's look at it through a new lens. And then let's talk about it. Let's play with this. Keep it light, keep it, in a space that offers wisdom without the heaviness. And it's going to be a challenge, but that's what Saturn Uranus is trying to do. It's trying to challenge us to take on, as they say, take your practice seriously, but don't take yourself seriously. So again, don't overthink things. Just try it out. It's a grand experiment. Enjoy the week. And when the challenges arrive, see if you can drop a little bit of humor in it. Welcome everything, because everything is a teacher and a friend. The universe never gives us more than we can handle. And so trust in that. And of course, if you feel weak, if you feel as though you just need a break, you're exhausted, please make sure you have your support. Make sure you have people to lean in with you. And I would say that for those of you who are looking at what to do this coming weekend, whether it's dating or in a bonded relationship, get outside, talk, communicate, connect. It's a great time to do it. And remember, with Mercury retrograde, things are not what they appear. So you may get some misunderstandings and miscommunications. Laugh about it. Go, oh my God, I thought you said this. Oh my gosh, I thought you said that. Whatever. And just be like, oops, clarify. It's not a problem. All right, you guys. I hope that this helps in some way, shape, or form. Please enjoy the week. Thank you so much for liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting, and I look forward to hearing how it goes. Find me at jamiedawn.com. Take care.